ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our show, Chercher. Tonight, I have a treat for you. I have a very, very good friend that's actually my producer that wrote a book. His name is Cliff St Hubert. And the name of the book is The Last Prophet of Gaza. That book took me upside down and flipped me around. We're going to talk about the book today, but before that, I'm going to introduce you to Cliff. He has been on the broadcast before with his previous book, The Question About God. And so, Cliff, welcome home.
Thank you so much.
It's such a pleasure to have you. I have read your book. I know we're not going to talk about, but you have the audible version. Out of this world, incredible. You write fantastic.
Thank you so much. I truly do appreciate it.
Oh my gosh! And I don't usually read.
Well, I'm glad this book got you reading.
Got me reading. My friend were asking, "What is this?" And then when I told them kind of the synopsis of the whole thing, the book grabbed me from the beginning to the end. And like you were describing, that the guy didn't have a robe like Jesus and all that, but he was not a prophet, but he was born under the rebels and all that. But anyway, let's introduce Cliff. Cliff, tell us who you are and what you do, because besides writing, you do also...
Right. Yes, my name is Cliff St Hubert, and I have a website called Cliff the Artist, where you can see a lot of my work. I'm a digital graphic designer, but foremost, I am a producer and editor here at the Great Island TV.
Yes, fantastic. And the show that you see every Sunday is produced by him. He's my producer. So besides that, well, talk to us a little bit about the designs that you do, because we had a guest that came, Michel Tessier, and we were talking about putting some of his book that he was writing that was a bit fictional as well, I think, and in like it was a, how do they call those books? Graphic novel. So tell us what you do, so we can, if someone is watching out there, you have got to believe this guy is so talented. It's incredible.
Well, I've been drawing since I was about 5 years old. And I've been writing since I was about 10, 12 years old.
Yeah.
I hated books and reading just like you, just like any other kid.
Yeah.
And the only way my mom can get me into actually reading was through comic books.
Yeah.
So mind you, the drawing and the reading of comic books kind of bled into, man, I want to write my own stories.
That's great that you were like that, because that never came up to me. But I only read also, there was Fantomas or the Phantom or something in the 80s that was in French that I used to read, Asterix and all that. So
right, exactly. And me, I grew up first reading, Batman, Spider-Man, Superman. Yeah. That's the base for me.
Right.
And then as I got older, I started reading things like short stories like Edgar Allan Poe, and then I graduated to Stephen King.
Whoa.
And I was really into horror. I loved the nightmare stories because they never scared me.
My son, he's a director of film, and he only does horror movies. And I'm petrified that he does a horror movie in my apartment, and then it becomes haunted.
No, horror movies like that never scared me. The stories is what moved me. Like Night of the Living Dead, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th. Those stories always entertained me, as stories are supposed to do. That's what stories do. They entertain. And so going into this particular story, that was my main goal, is to entertain the reader.
Yeah.
Yes, it's got a few things in the story that seems a bit political here and there, but at the end of the day, the question you have to ask yourself, were you entertained?
Exactly.
Did the character...
I was looking for what was going to follow.
Yeah, that's my whole purpose. So when I write, I initially write first like in poetics, because I love poetry. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite shows was an old show that's been removed as of yet, called it was on HBO, Def Jam Poetry.
Yeah.
Hosted by Most Def.
Yeah.
And I would watch that show every Sunday night. I was in love with the artists, Black Ice and all these guys. what's his name, Saul Williams.
Yeah.
All of these poets, they just inspired me to keep writing on as a side thing. I never really took it too seriously until COVID came. Once COVID came, that's when, I had a lot of time on my hands. And like everybody else, we were all prisoners in our own home. We couldn't travel. We couldn't even visit with friends, go to a restaurant, couldn't do anything. So in that time, I just kept getting stories downloading into my head. And this was one of the stories. One of 5 stories that I have in my head that I was unable to really put out. I put one out, which you already know.
Right.
This is the second one, and I still have 3 in the chamber.
And I love the cover, and I love the olive tree, and I mean, the whole thing. This is amazing.
Thank you.
Now, I will have to connect you with my son, because you guys, I think, could do something with movies. He'll be coming in September, and I'll connect you. And also, I have some friends that are in Washington, D.C. I'm going to connect you with them.
I would truly appreciate that.
I think particularly this book, should be broadened and made in either one film, a 1 hour, 1.5 hour movie, or into like 7 short stories, because it's so intense, it's so good. The descriptions, you can, you said somewhere that you could feel the air, you could taste the blood by the air of the morning or something like that. Oh man, where did you learn to write?
I just put myself in a place where I just disconnect and I just let the pen go. I don't judge it. I don't ask questions. I just write it. Whether it's offensive, non-offensive, boring, non-boring, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but after that you can correct them.
Then I go back on it again, and then I do it twice.
Right.
So I really dig deep in trying to put my reader in the place. I could have made the character a Haitian character, because the nightmare that we're living on the island is, in my opinion, equal to the nightmare that's going over in Gaza. The only difference is it's just on the other side of the planet.
Correct.
But the blood is still spilling, the nightmare is still there, and there are still kids crying.
Right. And there are more images on TV of the buildings being destroyed and all that. But in our country, you don't really, they talk about it in the news, let's say probably 10 seconds. And
then they move on to a story, some other story.
Indeed. Whereas the same thing indeed is happening. I saw a guy posting a picture of our cathedral and what they call ragé, the plants that are growing around the cathedral or whatever is left from the cathedral, so tall that you think the cathedral is in between a forest.
Right,
and there used to be people that were venting. You could buy pistachios, you could buy all kinds of things.
This is the beginning. This is the beginning of a burial of a society. Just like all ancient cities, like Chichen Itza, it was discovered by somebody just walking through the jungles, accidentally finding this magnificent place. It would not surprise me if our cathedral, our citadel, becomes another buried monument that is discovered possibly 200 years later down the line.
Yeah, and they're going to think they discovered it themselves.
Right, or they're going to think this was created by other society as opposed to one living not that far away.
Yeah.
You know, when they say the Mayans built Chichen Itza, they say it as though the Mayans are dead and gone. They're not. They're not. They're in Mexico, walking around the city like normal.
Right.
You just don't see them. And it's the same thing with the Hebrews. They say that the children of Judah, the lost Jews, are lost. They're not lost. They're standing right in front of you. They're in Israel.
Indeed.
You know.
I'm going to tell you a story that happened to me in Mexico. I went on a 6-day. I had to do a show. I was the opening act for the people that sang I'm sexy and I love it or want it. I don't know. Anyway, so I went there, but they had a pool that had kind of a sun way, and everything of the sun. Anyway, the way it was done, if you didn't pay attention, you would fall into the pool. And I really wasn't paying attention. I was on the phone, and I fell like 3 times in the pool. Cut my legs. I mean, I have a show that night. They are freaking out. Everybody's freaking out. My dancers are ready, everything, and they call an ambulance for me. And I remembered because my godmother that became my mother when my mother died was working for the embassy of Mexico in Haiti. And so she talked about the Mayans and all those people. Anyway, I said, call one of those people. Anyway, so that person came just like a normal person, put a green paste on my leg from here to there. I mean, it was
ancient medicine.
Okay. He goes, I want you to go to the room, lay down, and don't walk on it, and you'll be able to do the show tonight. I say it's impossible, but I ordered a couple of tequilas, and later on he came back. I said, my show is at 7 p.m. You come back. He come back, and a crust had been over the thing. There was no pain.
Ancient medicine, ancient technology. This is something that's been around for thousands of years. What he just did for you is something that was passed down to him from his mother and father, which was passed down from their mother and father.
But a green thing, like, it was horrible.
It worked though.
It worked.
Yeah, that's all that matters.
And I never saw the guy again.
And that's what it's supposed to be. Exactly.
Man.
Exactly.
And I really believe also, like, about that Gaza, that there are probably prophets over there too that are going to try to get those people back into a regular society.
Well, from what I understand, a prophet to be is a person who is selfless, who takes the brunt of all humanity's ills and rests it on his back unquestionably, without question. And this is how I believe that if a prophet was to ever arise in our society, in our time, it would not come in New York City. It would not come in California or London or France. It would be born in Gaza. It would be born
I would think
in Haiti.
In those areas that need them
That needs
big
hope.
time.
That needs hope, because when you're surrounded by so much hell, when you're surrounded by so much adversity and so many people are like literally betting against you, that's where I honestly think you will find that prophet waiting to be, useful in that time.
And the way you describe Isa, we're going to take a little break, and we're going to be right back with Cliff. And don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. And ladies and gentlemen, we are back with our fantastic guest today, my producer, Cliff St Hubert. And anyway, we were talking about Gaza. I want to talk a little bit about the book. What pushed you to write about a prophet and also in Gaza at the time where we are at right now?
There's no better time than right now to write a story like this. And I've been looking around for stories like these just for myself to be entertained.
Right.
And I haven't seen one yet. And if I do see books based in Gaza, they're all nonfiction. They're all, talking about what's happening or about someone that's going through it. And when you, in the Gaza, for example, and when you see the stories and you hear the stories about what's happening over there, it just drove me to realize that story that I had in my mind during COVID, I think now is the time to write it. Because initially when I got the story in my mind, I did not plant him in Gaza. I planted him in Haiti because it's easy.
Right.
I'm Haitian American.
Right.
I know the neighborhood, Pensionville, Okai, Okap. I know these areas.
Right.
So it would have been very.
And Jeremy that was destroyed with the how do they call that, the flood and all that. So
yeah, I could have easily made my main character out of Port-au-Prince, and it would have been easy. And my mom and my dad always taught me anything that comes to life easy is not always that good.
Yeah.
So I figured, let me challenge myself and look at something that we are all witnessing, that we are all, in a sense, kind of part of.
You are part of it right now. Every time you turn TV, it's Gaza.
But this is a little deeper. If you're Haitian American and you see this, you can't not help but see Pentreville.
Right.
You cannot help but see, your neighborhood in La Boule or Mont Calvaire or Kenskoff. You see those neighborhoods in the rubble in Gaza.
Yeah.
And then when you think about how in our culture we are very spiritual.
Very.
I am not religious, but I am spiritual.
Right.
I do believe that one day, who knows, there is a possibility that there could be a savior. And if that savior were to come, he or she would come from the mud, from the dust, from the swamp. Not from a big city, not coming with slick talk and dressed well.
Right.
He will be the person ICE wants to deport. He would be the person everyone throws rocks at.
Yeah.
Only to find out that they themselves were shameful for doing the things that they did. And I always see myself as being the person who's on the right side of history. So I took it upon myself to make my main character a child of Gaza. Because, like I said, I can see myself in those kids over there on the other side of the world. I was away not that long ago, and the way the story is covered overseas is very different from how it's covered here.
Yes.
You see it all.
Yeah.
And they are very non-descriptive. They say it exactly how it is.
Just the way it is.
Raw.
I take French television, and when they tell the news or the stories in Télé France 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's definitely not the news that we're getting here.
Right, so it kind of makes you think, why are we being told so little about something so big?
Exactly.
And as time went on and on, I realized, let me just finish this story. And once I really sat down to finish the story that I started all those years ago, it took me about 2 weeks to finish.
That's amazing. Would you nicely read a little part of this? This, guys, it's unbelievable. Unbelievable. You'll see more pictures of that in the show. Anyway.
Okay, now read
that would be
a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit, because he's very descriptive. The way he talks, the way he writes, it's incredible. Go ahead.
And as the sun broke through the smoke-stained horizons, painting the rubble gold for a brief moment, Issa made a choice. The world would know him, not as a weapon, not as a myth, but as a boy who loved, so fiercely, so deeply, that even death would tremble before him. For a moment, the world felt weightless, not because the bombs had stopped, but because he had finally stood up inside himself. His name was Issa Malak, and he was only 15 years old. He was a child of Gaza.
Excellent. Now, would you be able to give us kind of a little synopsis of the whole story so our viewers could have an idea? First of all, where can they get that?
You can purchase the book on my website. Go on clifftheartist.com on my author page.
The Artist, Cliff, C-L-I-F-F.
The Artist.
The Artist, A-R-S-T-I-S-C.com.
Exactly. You go to my author's page and you can click the link and it'll take you to my Amazon store.
Yeah.
And you can purchase the book there.
Excellent.
Or download the Kindle.
And it tells also about you and other things that you do. Okay.
Right. And you could download the Kindle, the version of it, the digital version of it as well.
I think you guys, to tell you frankly, it's phenomenal to read the book while you're hearing the version, and it's not that expensive.
No.
At all. So, no. I mean, I would get the Kindle version, and I would get
the physical book.
And it's and once you start reading it, there is no putting that down to go do anything. It took me 2.5, 3 hours to read it.
That's the whole point. I really wanted people to read the story because I think we're living in a time right now where we just need a little bit more truth and love.
Yeah.
And this is one thing that I really wanted to make very clear in this book is that love is not soft. Love is not easy. It is a brutal thing.
Yeah, and when you say love, because the story pretty much is Issa is a prophet of love.
That's right.
So tell us about the story. Tell me about the story.
It's about Issa Malak is a 15-year-old boy where he and his sister Zaya were basically orphaned in Gaza. And he is fully aware that he is going through serious transformations, kind of like what any teenager would go through in regards to puberty, except this is puberty on a nth degree.
Yeah.
He doesn't
On steroids.
On steroids, and he's not accepting it, as why should he? He's afraid of it, as any child would. But he later on recognizes that he can't escape it, and he uses it as not a weapon, but as an option for other people to understand what love is in its truest form.
And I see other people, when people are saying, you are the one, and he's saying, stop saying what the
elders are saying.
Elders are saying.
Right.
And he hadn't accepted it yet.
That's right. And of course, like any child who's been giving far too much to bear is going to try to run from it and deny it. I know we were all teenagers at one point.
Yeah.
And if you remember, there were always at that time where, especially going through puberty, when you're becoming a man, you wish you were a kid again. You know,
I wish I was a kid right now.
You know, and you know, so he goes through a lot, only to come out realizing that, yeah, he has to do what he has to do in order for his people to survive, in order for his people to be recognized and seen. But he's not going to do it in the way people expect him to do it. And it goes back to what my mom would always tell me, is like, just because you live in the ghetto don't make you poor.
No.
You know, just because you live in rubble does not make you non-human.
Exactly.
So that's Issa.
That's such a beautiful story, beautifully manipulated. The words are so well put together that I thought you should send a copy of that book to your English teacher.
If I can find them, I would.
And say thank you for the work you have done on me.
Yeah, it's those short stories. It's the people push me to read a lot of those short stories, like Edgar Allan Poe and all these great writers. You know, Sylvia Plath, poetry, Saul Williams, all these great writers. They just inspired me. And of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank the hip hop community.
Correct.
But I'm talking about the hip hop community from the late 80s, early 90s, where
my time.
Our time. Our time. When, you know, they used to tell stories, you know, and those stories just were so visual in my mind. When I wrote, I wanted to be like that.
Indeed. There were some raps that were intense.
Yeah, you know, Self-Destruction, KRS-One, Boogie Down Production, you know, Nas. These people, when they wrote vividly.
So,
as opposed to...
And nobody understood them until later
much
on.
Later.
Later on. I was listening to, LL Cool J this morning.
LL Cool J, again, another iconic
incredible.
storyteller.
This morning it was on Kelly and Mark. And man...
I met him, by the way. Yeah.
I'm crazy about this guy. I'm
Very
crazy
cool
about
dude.
him on Los Angeles.
Yeah, he's a very cool
Los Angeles.
He's a great writer. That's the thing.
Amazing.
He's a great writer. He knows how to put pen to paper.
Yes. But okay, now I need to say that if there is anybody out there that is doing film, that is in Haiti, that is here, that is in anywhere, he is interested. We need to do this book as either a short story or some few episodes. I'm putting the word out.
I have thought about this as a full-on scripted movie.
Yeah.
And yeah, I see the script. I could see how it could actually be done. I'd be more than happy to sit down with anybody.
I would love for you to put that. I'll be the first person out, and I want a part in the movie.
Get healed.
But no, that's fantastic. Now, what advice would you give to a younger guy, let's say after puberty, because like when you start really being serious about your writing, you know, like I remember when I was a kid, I was a rebel, and I only started writing music right when I was a little bit older, and I wanted to express what I had to say in my words, and sometimes they were good, sometimes they were bad, but some people guided me and directed me. What would you say to a younger guy from a younger generation that has the aspirations that you have, and that would like to write his own book, he'd like to write his own story, whatever the story could be?
What I would advise them, I'd probably basically tell them what I would tell myself at my 15-year-old self. I have a 15-year-old son, so I don't live vicariously through him, but I would tell him, surround yourself around people of like mind. Live your passion. If you love writing, write and read a lot. Watch as many stories as you possibly can.
Yes.
Watch as many stories as you possibly can. Do not listen to the naysayers. Do not listen to people saying, oh, why are you always watching movies? What? Yeah, well, consider this homework. Consider it homework.
And it's not bad homework. You know,
No.
the more you read, the more your mind is open to new things. It's very, very important
Read
for a
everything
child
and
to
anything. Read everything and anything. Keep your mind open, because you'd be surprised what kind of stories move you. You'd be amazingly surprised what stories move you.
Yeah, indeed. There are stories that move me that I never thought could move. This moved me. This moved
it.
me, and I'm really excited about it. Like I told you, I'm going to connect you to a few people, and oh man, that's such a brilliant book, and
I wrote it in a way so that there could not be a sequel. There's not going to be a sequel.
But that's why I thought you could develop it inside.
No. I wanted
the beginning to the end.
No, I want it to be a one-story story. I didn't want it to be something so that later on it could eventually get manipulated by anyone. It has a beginning, it has its crescendo, and it has its ending. Like all good things must come to an end. So yeah.
Well, I agree with you. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, our time is up. Remember, The Last Prophet of Gaza by Cliff St Hubert, and to find this book, you go to
clifftheartist.com,
clifftheartist.com,
or you can go to Amazon and you'll find it on
Amazon, and you find it, and you also find the Kindle book.
The Kindle book is there as well.
Excellent, Cliff. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
thanks
Leslie,
for
for having
and
me.
thanks for my bracelet. Yeah, I love it. See you next time. Take a little time to do something nice for somebody. I love you. Thank you, Cliff.
Thank you.
Bye.